so special. Tell Lily how much you love her. And Paul and Natalie, our two sales stars here working with Jordan, absolutely sensational. So anything that you need after Jordan tells you about our wonderful new offering today, they're the ones who will steer you the right way. And we've got some great products available for you. So Jordan asked me, and Lily asked me to come out. And how many saw our CIBC PMA Summit Series last week? How many? A few. So a few. Please jump on board on that. We come out every month with a topic. We were in our Chris Markovich. Where's Chris? My CEO at PMA. Wave Chris. Chris runs this. It's a spectacular program that we do every month. This is our 5th season, Chris. 5?
Like 5.
5, unbelievable. Every month for 5 years now. It grew and came out of COVID. As we used to do sort of 3 or 4 a year, where we put everyone in a great big ballroom and have 400 or 500 people, that became impossible. And Chris quickly pivoted to let's go Zoom, and we all became Zoomers. I'm a professional Zoomer now, all the time. And it's turned into a wonderful, wonderful series. And what it does is address industry issues each month on different subjects with different people. Usually I'll give a little overview where we are within the marketplace, and then lead in with last
4 and 5 bedrooms.
Paul, who's the Deputy Chief Economist of CIBC Capital Markets. And he is brilliant, isn't he? For those you watched, he's brilliant, he's insightful, he's funny. You don't usually find a funny economist, do you? That's kind of an oxymoron, as they call it. That doesn't quite mix and go together. But he has a great sense of humor and a great understanding of our real estate market. And he's very perceptive, so he kind of gets it. And he and I kind of talk all the time. You know, our experience from the PMA world is a long time in this business, working with builders and developers. We began many years ago with my father, who started the business in 1964, if you can imagine. So we're coming up on 60 years. Isn't that something? I've survived. Not me, I was a little wee tiny little kid back then, but grew up within that business. And when I started in the business, back in when interest rates were 21%, something like that. So I've been through a few of these ups and downs through a market, so I've experienced everyone, survived everyone. My friend in the corner here has, and know it and understand it and have dealt with issues like this. Probably 5 major corrections in my career that I've gone through. So 5 times I've been, punched and knocked down, and I get back up and go at it again. Actually, we started back in the early 80s a thing called Housing Data Reports, which was a first time that went for nearly 20 years, and we merged it with what was called RealNet around 2000 as the digital age came forward, and then merged that with Altus. And so today you read about Altus and all this, and we were the creators of that many years ago. What that did for us really was it caused us to be tuned in to the marketplace as much as we could be. Not necessarily just for the builder-developer, but for the consumer, for your consumer. To understand their needs, wants, desires, their motivations, understanding where they're coming from. What is it about market conditions that causes people to take an action or not to on their hands? You can learn from that and how to respond and how to deal with it. And so here we are in 2004. I guess we could all cheer. I think we should all do this together. I think what we're going to do right now, I'm going to get you to say goodbye 23. Goodbye. Let's do it together. Goodbye 23. Let's do it again. All louder. Goodbye 23. Goodbye 23. I am so happy that it's over. I am so happy that it's behind us. Housing has been beaten up by the rise in interest rates. We've actually, in my career, not gone through a period where interest rates have moved so fast, so high. Does it seem high, really, at 5%? Well, to many of you who are maybe newer to the marketplace and grew up with free money over the last 10 years, this decade, that seems high. I grew up at 21%. The Toronto Star ran a picture of me on the front page of the Star. I made the front page of the Toronto Star in 1982, my big smiling face, and it said, "Even the experts can be wrong." Here I am, this big smiling face in front. I love it. It's great. It's great to listen. Yeah, any news is good news for me. But the story of that was I had been saying to the marketplace, go short, go short. It can't go higher. Go short, go short. Go variable. It can't go higher. We were at 13, 14, 15, 17, 21%. Even the experts can be wrong. If you don't know a little longer, I turned out to be right. Because in the period from about 82 to 84, interest rates, of course, came back down from 21 to, we averaged 11 3/4 through the period from the late 80s through the 90s. And if you look at interest rates in their history, they actually go in a kind of generally a 7-year business cycle. So they follow a cycle of, if that's a deal, you can go ahead and let it. It's okay, in fact, we all get a piece of the commission because we're all here. In a typical business cycle lasting 7, sometimes 10 years, you'll see interest rates. If I went back and bracketed them over these 7 to 10 year cycles, you'll see exactly where they have been. Through the 1990s, 11 3/4. By the early 2000s, 5%. By the financial crisis of 08-09, for that 10-year cycle, we went to 0. We had free money. Incredible. Lasted too long. Bank of Canada didn't come in soon enough, and we got a bit creamed from extraordinary factors, including the pandemic, that caused people to really take almost if it was more of a panicky situation, it sort of felt like it in mid-2020, 21, where people were buying anything that moved, and we were in this kind of frantic period, which caused, when we had no supply, we suddenly had this perfect storm. And the perfect storm was a market that had really, and Benjamin Paul said last week beautifully, that we don't have a housing crisis. We have a planning and an approval crisis. It's just not able to. We just started in 2004. Now, I won't get political, but it was the damn liberal. And what it was an abnormal restriction of the urban or 905 development. So you couldn't get a housing development like the Mansouri's have been so famous for out here. You couldn't get it approved unless we intensified somewhere else. We had to do a high rise, like Tribute next door in Oshawa, in order to get low rise approved. It had to go hand in hand. The cost constriction was so severe that as the market began to come stronger by demand, immigration moving at now nearly over 1 million people a year, you had this funnel of activity of strong demand and no supply. And where will the prices go? There's nowhere else to go. So now we enter this period of the last 18 months where housing has been in a recession. We have been in a recession period. Resale activity, which much of you are involved in, is off by 30 to 40%. New housing activity is off by nearly 50%. And we enter this first quarter of 2024 wondering, where does it go? Does it get better? Can it improve? How do we bring together and match the affordability issues we have with the product that we're currently offering? So what happens in a market like this, and it's happened historically time and time again, it just takes time to adjust. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. The resale market's a commodity market, just like automobiles. Almost identical. We're in the manufacturing business. The Mansouri's are really in the manufacturing business, in the new housing business, about developing and delivering a fixed cost product. So it's very hard when your land and labor and materials and taxes Hurts my face when I say taxes.
Okay, political.
I know. Well, this is all levels, by the way, so it's not just one. But the tax on new housing today, whether it's a beautiful townhouse in the 900,000 range or single family in the low $300 range, is nearly $200,000 a house. So imagine a builder having to deal with that. How does he actually manage that cost factor of a tax regime that's out of control? That's a whole other subject for another day. What has happened is it was very difficult to adjust within a market to brought product to the market. Now, how do I get there if the market changes like it has? The resale market goes a little quicker because it's a commodity. So it's the willing buyer and the willing seller, and that comes together. It's not driven by cost, it's driven by psychology, the confidence of the consumer. And that was shaken over the last little while. So, goodbye, Tony. It's all behind us. Classically, historically, recessions last 18 months. That's the long they last. You go back in time, and the 5 I've been through, the only one that was worse and lasted longer were the early 90s. And we're not in the same kind of situation. So we're now through 18 months of this uncertainty and trying to match affordability with the end selling price of a house here in this market. And now you're seeing right around and across the marketplace changes in offerings, in value, in opportunity, in product design, in finishings. It's absolutely incredible how innovative we get in difficult times. And so that's what's about to happen. You're about to hear from Jordan and the Mansouri team about the changes that they're implementing to try to get to market. How do we get there? And how do we satisfy that consumer? I call it percolating. Try that. They're all together right now. 1, 2, 3. Percolating. Percolating. That wasn't so hard. And percolating is the sense of coming out of a market change that's full of uncertainty, now thinking about, change is coming. You hear about rate changes in the interest rate cuts. My heart is with April the 10th at 11 a.m. It was going to be our first cut. Benjamin Toll says, stop thinking with your heart, use your head. And if I use my head, that first rate cut will probably occur in June. But what's happened with bond yields, which are the real main driver of mortgage rates? They're down by 100 basis points. And so are mortgage rates. So here you are in a period where we're all uptight about Bank of Canada and where the Bank of Canada's overnight prime might be, when right behind us, mortgage rates have been coming down quite steadily over the last 5 months, 6 months. To a point now, and RBC's here somewhere. Where's RBC? Okay, so what's my 5-year posted? The yield do with my professional yield today? What will you give me? 564?
120 days.
No, let's say, okay, what's that? What is it, 120 days?
So 5-year, it ranges, depend on the selections you're choosing, for starting at 5.
Best deal, what's my
504.
504.
504.
Woo! So where is this nonsense about 6.5 and 7? Yes, I know, I still got to go through that funny MQR, that thing, that mortgage qualifying rate with the extra 2. That's still there. That's still something we have to play with in the qualifying consumer. But in 120-day closing, I'm at 5%. I even saw 4.99 the other day. Maybe it was one of your competitors. Sorry. So what has actually happened in behind us? Well, we're complaining about interest rates and stuff. Down. Now, bond yields are a reflection of the future. If you want to watch anything, there's an app called Market Watch. You can look at it every day. It'll drive you crazy, but look at it from time to time, and you'll see where 5-year bond yields are heading And they're right now at 3.6. They were as low as 3.2 a week ago. They spiked a little bit because both the U.S. Federal Reserve and Bank of Canada both said, well, we might not move rates down quite so quickly. It may happen a little later in the year, and bond yields kind of spiked up a bit. But they tell the story ahead of where it is. It's already baked in. Will interest rates go below 5? Unlikely. This year, unlikely. Will 5% as the mortgage rate for a 5-year mortgage rate be the mortgage rate for the next 5 years? Absolutely. I don't think we're in a period. If I look at my history, as I started out telling you a few minutes ago, in these kind of business cycle periods of 7 to 8 years, they hang within that range, and they'll hang within that range. No, by year end this year, we may see ourselves slide down underneath 5, and it may get to 4.5, 4.7, somewhere in that range. It's going to hold within that, in that kind of bracket. The good news is that that's about to happen, and so many of our consumers, you know, I don't know whether it's I don't know. I spent so much time over the back fence talking to my neighbors, you know, so all of us talk to one another and we build with one another the confidence together that things are going to happen. So we all believe that interest rates are coming down. I think we all know that and understand that. So it's now a matter of, is there the confidence of the time to buy right at this moment? I made these remarks to the group yesterday, the day before, and someone in the audience, I said, when's it a good time to buy? Someone said, it was a bunch of real estate people like you are, like all of my good friends here in this room, and they said, the time to buy is now. Always now. Well, that sounds rather typical, doesn't it? Kind of self-serving when you say that. But at this moment in time, it's actually true. For the first time in a long time, your best advantage, both in terms of where RBC will go with the mortgage rate, and it's not going to go hugely lower over the balance of the year, even with the Bank of Canada changes, because the bond yields will already bake in that change that's already happened. It goes slightly lower. It's going to be a great